Cold open, let's go.
Okay. Hi.
How was the Barbie movie?
It was wonderful.
Well, tell me about it.
It was so great. Everybody dressed up. Everybody greeted Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
So was this like the equivalent to like a Lord of the Rings premiere? Like, you know how everybody fucking showed up in their mantles and their elf ears and
Kinda.
speaking Elvish and all that.
Kinda,
shit.
but better, right?
Yeah, because it's Barbie.
Kinda, but better. Well, no, I mean, but better because
More chicks.
there's been a lot of controversy around Barbie, right? She's the
controversy.
unattainable
guess.
beauty standard,
Listen,
and people get mad about it, right?
she only had like some solid. Barbie had solid B cups on her, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but have you seen the crazy shit on the
Oh,
internet
yeah,
where it's
no.
like if they made a human person like to the proportions of Barbie, she would have to walk on all fours because her waist was so small compared to her limbs.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. So, but the whole movie is basically about that. It's Barbie having an existential crisis. Like they have one good day and then she goes to bed, or no, they have a party and they're dancing and everybody's having a good time. And she's like, do y'all ever think about dying? And everybody, like the music scratches and everybody
Yeah, of
stops
course.
and they're like, what? But so it turns out that, like, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Barbie, go see it. But it turns out that
spoiler
the
alert.
person that's playing with that Barbie doll is having an existential crisis and is sad. So Barbie starts having human emotions and has to go to the real world to find the person who's playing with her doll to fix it.
How old is this person? It's a child, right?
It's an adult.
Of course it is.
Because
Fucking course it
it's this character and her daughter is in middle school and they used to bond playing Barbies together, and now it turns out she works at the Mattel factory and she's just having a sad, midlife, she's not midlife, but like a crisis. And it's super fucking cute. It's so funny. It addresses a lot of the issues surrounding what Barbie was meant to be and what it was translated to.
What was she meant to be?
She was meant to be a feminist icon. The whole point was Barbie can do anything because Barbie came out in the 1940s.
Right.
And there was never like Barbie had her own house, her own car. Whenever she eventually got
her
like
own
credit
house.
cards,
She got
it
her
was
own car.
it was Barbie's name on the card. The whole Yes, exactly. That was
Do
the
you
whole
know what
point.
that mean?
The whole
Sorry.
point was Barbie was this independent woman to aspire after, like, we, the girls playing with Barbie. If Barbie can be anything, we can be anything because Barbie is a doctor, an astronaut, everything that you can imagine you can do because Barbie can do it, right?
Right.
But that gets turned around in the newer culture to these, unattainable physical standards, and you set the feminist movement back 50 years and all this shit, and they address all of that in the movie, and I cried like 3 times, and it was really, really, really good.
So it set, the idea was that it got morphed into her being a negative towards, like, that is that the kind of the point was like,
Yeah, because originally it was just Barbie, right? And it was
Barbie,
just
yeah.
blonde, stereotypical, beautiful Barbie. And there was not a lot of representation in that. And people took that as she's perfect and unattainable and I can never be that, instead of since Barbie can be a doctor, I can be a doctor or whatever type of shit.
right. So what was I was listening earlier, you kind of told me about it. What was the Ken angle?
So Ken is just Ken.
Okay, yeah. Well, we
Ken
all
is
know
just
that.
Ken. He is Barbie's accessory.
Uh-huh.
Any girl that had a Barbie knows. Sometimes you didn't even have a Ken. And if you did have a Ken, he very rarely got played with. And if you did, it was just rubbing fleshy mounds together to make sex.
Makes sense.
But Ken's angle, so when Barbie goes to the real world to find who's playing with her doll, Ken comes because he loves Barbie. And Barbie's like, sure. But Ken goes off while Barbie's doing her thing and discovers that men rule the world. And he shouts it and is very excited about it.
Yeah,
because he's been a accessory in Barbie land. He does not know what this means.
He's
because
fired up.
there's a lady president, lady senate, like all the ladies are running shit and Kens are just Ken.
right.
And so he finds some literature on the patriarchy, and he's weirdly fascinated with horses. And so when he goes back to Barbie Land, he tells all the other Kens about how great the real world is because men rule the world, and that we should start doing that here, basically. And he takes over Barbie's dream house. All the Kens take over the Barbie's dream houses and make the, what did he call it? Mojo Dojo Casa House. Fucking, it's perfect how stupid Ken
Something
is. Ryan
stupid,
Gosling nails it. At one point, he hears that, I think it's Matchbox 20, the I wanna push you around. Well, I will.
Yeah.
So he hears that song and he comes back and he serenades Barbie with an acoustic guitar. And he's like, I want to play my guitar at you.
At you.
And he plays that song and he does the inflection that we all do when we sing like Nickelback, you know, like the satirical.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Anybody who said Ryan Gosling shouldn't be Ken can go suck a big fat dick because he
people saying that?
absolutely they said he was too old. But he absolutely nailed it. He was the perfect Ken. It was the role he was meant to play. It was beautifully done. I loved that movie so much I will go pay to see it 8 more times.
People straight up get mad about like the stupidest shit. Like,
well, there's this girl on my Facebook. I won't name names because I haven't seen her since high school, but she's, I think, mentally unwell. But she's been posting about how against the Barbie movies she is and saying, like, it's a capitalism cash grab, feminist setback, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's trying to be like, hey, that's what the movie is about. Like, they address it fully, and they kind of attack Mattel in it, even though Mattel's a part of it. Like, Barbie goes into the Mattel headquarters, and it's a room full of, like, fucking 10 white men. And she's like, can I speak to your CEO? And he's like, I'm right here, and it's Will Ferrell. And she's like, no, the CFO? Like, and all of them are men, and they're like, and then one guy goes, I'm a man with no power. Does that mean I'm a woman? Like, they fucking nail it. They do it so well. But she's so mad on Facebook about it, and she's been saying crazy shit for years. And honestly, the Barbie backlash, I was like, unfriend. That was the last straw.
I mean, like, it's like people look for something wrong with everything. Like, there's a, you know, we talked about this the other morning, but that reminded me, like, it's so silly to get upset about, like, Ryan Gosling's too old to be Ken. Well, first of all, it actually kind of makes more sense that he would be older because of how old, you know, the Barbie brand is.
And he doesn't look old. Like, he
Obviously.
looks 30.
Yeah. We made fucking Brad Pitt.
And he looks
fucking
great,
almost
by the way.
10 years ago, we made Brad Pitt 90 years old. We can make Ryan Gosling look fucking 5 years younger. You know what I'm saying?
And he doesn't need it. He has some expression lines. Who fucking cares? He looks great.
It's like
his abs.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, crazy.
Looks great.
What, is it Crazy Stupid Love that he plays in with Emma Stone? That shit came out.
I haven't seen that one.
That shit came out like maybe.
He looks the same, right?
Gosling
looks
maybe
amazing.
It might have been a little longer. I might be giving him too much credit. But anyways,
he was
fucking like chiseled.
Yeah,
in that
he's beautiful.
movie,
He's a beautiful man. He was meant to play Ken. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that little part reminded me of what we were talking about the other morning on how everybody the Snow White's coming out soon. I guess.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I guess it's I don't know how soon, but they're making another one. I know for a fact that
Can we stop redoing the same shit?
So I know for a fact they have the actress that plays Snow White, and there's some idiots out there that are like upset that she's Latino, but like that doesn't make Latina. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't
because
matter.
She's still super pale, and Snow White had black hair.
I was gonna say Snow White has black hair. Who cares?
But the thing that made that it's so ridiculous that they're also upset because they were going to use some LPs, which, by the way, that seems just a little bit more comical. Little People.
Oh, gotcha.
In this article, I just need to say this first. The first thing that made me laugh the whole fucking time. So in the article, obviously you can't say midget and you can't say, I guess you can't say dwarf either, like referring to somebody.
You know what?
But
okay, I'm not
like I'm just saying
ilk,
publicly.
But I'm not of that ilk. But I feel like Little People is more condescending.
Well, here's the thing.
They
shorten it to LPs. when they're talking about things. So the LPs, and it's like that is worse, way worser than just saying the M word or whatever,
Well, because
right? It sounds condescending, like you're saying. And dwarf, it
like
just seems
dwarfism,
scientific.
isn't that the technical term?
Yeah, it seems more
Question
technical.
mark?
Yes, exactly. So, anyways, there was backlash again because what they were going to do was they were going to have LPs. It's silly. Oh, by the way, we're on video. Hi. They were going to have LPs in there. And now they were referring to Peter Dinklage on Mark Maron's podcast interview. I didn't hear it, so I don't know if he was being satirical when he said this.
Okay.
But the way that everybody has reported on it was there was nobody that said he was being satirical. There's nobody that I've read from like The Guardian and all of that have said he's being satirical.
Okay.
So, anyways, he's like, have I done nothing to, this sets us back? And like, first of all, why are you even remaking movies from a racist ass time? Like, because it's come to like the 40s or whatever. Like, why are we remaking this shit? He says the first part that obviously you agree with.
Makes sense.
Why are we remaking the same shit? Just make something new.
Yeah.
Right? Which is fine. But then he's also, and this is the part that I don't know if it was satirical or not, he was also talking about the fact that they were going to have dwarves, or they were going to have little people play the dwarves. And
because that's what they look like in the movie, in the cartoon, is just small people.
Yeah. So he fucking throws a big old bitch fit about it, apparently, right? And so now there's been this whole movement, and apparently there was kind of a rumbling already, but there's been this whole movement to get them out because it's, I guess the idea, for lack of a better word, degrading is how they see it, right? Or at least how he was presenting it. So he makes this statement, and fucking Disney pulls him. Like immediately after, I'm paraphrasing, but it was pretty soon. It was either right before or pretty soon after. They fucking pulled the dwarves, and they decided that they're going to put CGI creatures in. No. And I'm like, y'all aren't any better than the NFL with this, are y'all? Like,
well, and
like hang on. Not only are you taking an underrepresented portion of the acting community, an underrepresented portion on the whole.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Not only are you taking jobs away from them now, 7 of them, right? But you're also going right into the face of the entire strike that's going on by using AI and CGI generated creatures to play whatever the fuck. So it's like, just make if you're going to do it, just make the fucking movie, right? Like, also, hey, why don't we, if what we're going to do is not be original and not be unoriginal, or not, and whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? If what we're going to do is that, fuck around, then why don't you go get Aristocats, right? And go get fucking Robin Hood, and go get all the ones that just have animals, and then nobody can fucking bitch about it. Yeah, sure, Aristocats, cut the fucking fortune cookie always wrong scene. I fucking guess. Like, we watched it the other day, and they're like apologizing for that scene
at the beginning before the movie even starts.
Right, at the beginning, and it's like, when the fuck did Aristocats come out?
Oh, I don't know.
Like, how the fuck is it offensive?
They were still sketching. Like, you could still see pencil lines.
How the fuck is it offensive to have 2 underrepresented races in a musical, right? Like, what's his name? The blues cat. What the heck is his name?
Oh, I don't remember.
But the blues cat is obviously a black character who plays
jazz.
Jazz cat. That's what it is. Yeah. Jazz cat. And it's like they're apologizing for stuff like that, right? And it's like, okay, but black people came up with that. Like that.
Yeah.
If anything, it shouldn't be Thomas O'Malley.
The Siamese cat is definitely a caricature, and
definitely
it is pretty offensive. But you can tell, like, they didn't.
They also made a caricature. They also had a caricature of a beach bum, right? Like the other cat was a dumbass.
He's definitely a stoner. He's definitely a stoner.
Right. So it's
it's fair, kind of. It's not fair, but like across the board, they were also still at least making fun of white people, because he was definitely like a beatnik hippie cat. But I think it's definitely different with the Snow White thing, because you're right. Like, that's what I was going to say before is you are completely stripping 7 jobs from people.
Yeah.
And the 7 dwarves aren't shitty. They're just each a characteristic, right? So you are a caricature, but of one, like, emotion. Most of them are like sneezy, dopey, happy, like they're all just kind of one dimensional.
Well, they were meant to represent like nurturing figures, right? Like
Yeah, they save her.
They save her
They
life.
save her.
Right? And like the worst thing about him, so I watched an interview that a guy had with an LP. I'm just gonna keep saying it like that.
Okay.
I like LP better, anyways. So anyway, he's interviewing this LP, and she's like, honestly, like, I guess the whole thing about them too is like, who the fuck said Peter Dinklage spoke for all of us?
Right.
But
yeah. Yeah, because
and also he played fucking Tyrion Lannister.
Just because you have work doesn't mean the rest of them do.
Right.
And they might have wanted that fucking role because it probably pays pretty good.
Which, to be fair, that's why I said I don't know if he was like being satirical when he said this, and the reporters were just like, "Look what he said," or if he was just like, I haven't done anything, or not necessarily I haven't done anything, but I don't recall seeing a bunch of fucking articles of Peter Dinklage bitching about the representation of dwarves, probably because there's not a lot of representation of dwarves in the first place. But anyways, I mean, they fucking got normal sized people to play the hobbits.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's
and just
fucking
made them small.
Right. I mean, but actors, like, what are the odds? You got better actors over here, but it's just like that, right? But he's interviewing this lady, and she even mentioned that she had, I want to say, members of her family and or friends actually auditioning for that, and then they pulled the role completely.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit. I think, honestly, the way to have done it is just still make them the 7 dwarves. You can call them whatever you want, honestly. I don't care.
Give them a bit different names.
But then give more representation. They all don't have to be white men. You know what I mean? Like, but
well, they did that already with Snow White and the Huntsman. They had dwarves play the dwarves. For the most part, as many dwarf actors as they could, I guess.
I just don't see the problem, right? Because if you don't want the role, don't audition for it. If you think it's shitty, don't audition for it. But people take stupid, humiliating roles all the time. Like, somebody has to play the role, right? Like, you're acting still. Yeah. That's your job. I feel like you should understand that.
Yeah.
And I would hope in this remake it wouldn't be so condescending, but it wasn't that bad in the original Snow White. Like, they were good to her. They saved her life. Like,
well,
I don't understand. I mean, as a white woman, I don't understand the problem, but I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it is what Peter Dinklage said. Like, why do y'all keep shooting yourself in the foot constantly? Stop making movies from the 40s.
Yeah.
Stop reaching back to when Jim Crow laws were a thing and making movies from then and being like, oh, damn, I don't know why everybody's getting their fucking panties. What the fuck, man?
Maybe just move forward. Like, you have a good team of writers and animators. Like, maybe just try something new.
What's that? What's the fucking movie, the Ku Klux Klan movie? What's it called? It was like a major fucking motion picture, like in the early 1900s. It's what is it called? I gotta look it up.
While you're looking that up, I will say they pulled Song of the South.
That might have been
off of Disney Plus.
That might have been
the Uncle Remus.
Uncle Remus.
He was
my Uncle Remus.
He was a slave on a plantation, and it was my sister used to watch that shit all the time. But
so remind me again. Birth of a Nation. That's what the thing's called. So it came out in 1915. It was a fucking like a big thing. Yeah, I remember Song of the South coming on straight out of the Disney Vault.
Sing along. Yeah, and they did the sing alongs too because it had some fucking.
I never
dope
watched
songs.
it though.
But I will say I haven't seen it in a long time. But I always do remember like feeling that empathy and sympathy for Uncle Remus. Like, it wasn't just like I don't know. Like, I don't feel like it was necessarily super misrepresented, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen it in a really
Yeah, I
long
haven't
time.
seen
But
it
it's just
either.
like, we can't. Here's the thing about slavery and all of America's tarnished bullshit. We can't just ignore it because it fucking happened. And the only way forward is to acknowledge that we fucked up and to
Yeah.
do better. So why are we pulling To Kill a Mockingbird off the shelves and taking Song of the South down? Because those things were real. I
Yeah.
mean, like, obviously these are works of fiction, but I mean, like, that's how things were.
Right.
So why are we pretending that there's like rewriting history, every history book, well, we came to America and they were so grateful to have our help and it wasn't just a total genocide.
Yeah.
We can't keep doing that shit. That's not making anything better.
Yeah, I think that well, I think it just goes to speak to exactly what we were getting at earlier, which is they don't actually give a fuck about any of these things,
No.
right? Like if enough people made noise that they wanted actual dwarves and Snow White, like if enough, excuse my imagery on this, but if enough purple haired people yelled about making Snow White white, they would do it. Just like during Pride Month, when everybody was bitching about like Target and all these people and making all of their rainbow stuff. It's the same it's the same thing with like I don't drink Bud Light. I don't give a shit about I don't you know I don't care what they did, but they did that for one reason. And the problem is nobody fucking buy. Just don't do that. Nobody needed you to do that, right? So like Disney, I while I do understand pulling it off of like new, coming out of the Disney vault because Song of the South used to. I distinctly remember.
Came out in 1946, by
Right,
the way.
I distinctly remember watching like late night Disney Channel, and like it was either an advertisement or it was gonna come. I can't remember, but it's one of those ones where it's like coming out of the Disney vault, it won't ever come back out
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah, they
come
played
watch
that
it.
game a lot.
9 p.m. Central on fucking Friday or some shit, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But I remember them bringing that out, Song of the South, and I can understand why they would pull it down from stuff like that. But like that's the movie that you put the fucking warning on the front of, right? That you put the explanation on the front of. You
Yeah.
drop it on fucking Disney Plus or whatever, and you use it as a teaching
Yeah.
tool, right? Just like To Kill a Mockingbird was supposed to be. It's you may or I'll bring it even more into the modern era. Just like Lean on Me is supposed to be. Or just like
Lean on Me.
So Lean on Me is a Morgan Freeman movie in which Morgan Freeman plays a real principal, Joe Clark. But first of all, it's one of my favorite fucking movies in the world.
I watched that movie.
Yes, it's one of my favorite movies in the world. They also have that one song, "Lean on Me." They made a remix of it, and then they put it on the radio all the time. And my shit, I would go so hard to that song.
Okay.
But yeah, it's about Joe Clark. It's a true story with some embellishment stuff. He goes, takes over this fucked up, like drug addict ridden, crime ridden school, flips it, and makes it like a successful school. And it's mostly a neighborhood. It's one of probably
It's
one
an
of
impoverished neighborhood.
well,
right?
it's an impoverished neighborhood. But here's the thing: it's an impoverished neighborhood, and Joe Morgan Freeman is there's a scene where he tells all his black students to stand up. Now it's mostly black, Hispanic, or Puerto Rican probably because it's
Right.
Jersey, but black, Hispanic, and some white. But there's a scene that's always stuck with me, and it like really informed my view on a lot of things. Was he has them all stand up, and then he has all his white students stand up, and there's I don't know
3.
no, there's quite a few, but there's not near as many as black and as Hispanics.
Right.
And he basically makes the point that they're fucked just like you're fucked. So let's all get the fuck out. Like let's all
get
do
together.
this
Yeah.
and whatever, right? And that's kind of like the whole point of the fucking movie, right? Or even Remember the Titans, right? Most of that shit was embellished, but the point of it was true, right? They consolidated schools. The whole, by the way, the whole reason, just to get on the sports angle, the whole reason they were so fucking good was when you bring two big ass fucking schools together, you have a bigger pool of athletes.
Yeah.
So that's why they smashed everybody's
Yeah,
asses.
you have the best from two pools
Yeah,
already.
yeah. So you put two, yeah, exactly. And they, they got some black guys on their team, and they're amazing, right? Julius Campbell is amazing. I don't think he's real, by the way. I don't know if I never found out if Julius Campbell was a real defensive end, but I sure was a big fan of his. Him and Gary Bertier. But like, that's the shit that I grew up watching in school, right? In schools of towns that arguably end up on the very opposite side, right? Are usually
Right.
the negative of that film, right? Like, here's what it was before.
Yeah.
And but those movies I grew up watching, and those also are informing you.
Yes. Yeah.
They're informing, hey, here's some shitty stuff that was going on, and here's a situation that got it fixed, right? So what if you released something or left something up like that, and then put your fucking commentary over it, or just put it up and let people fucking see it, and before it starts, say, hey, this is offensive. Here's why, or here's why. No, maybe not even this is offensive. Just. You fucking did it for a goddamn cartoon.
Used to be.
You did it for a fictional cartoon in which singing cats are the main characters, but we can't allow an actual movie to be put out. Like, there's an argument for Birth of a Nation. It's about the KKK being heroes.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Right. It came out like 1912.
I'm gonna make a hard no.
But if you had
one.
a film that featured minstrels from the 40s, or maybe it was supposed to be about the teens or whatever, but if it has that could be educational, the same way Gangs of New York is educational.
Sure.
Right? It's not historically accurate necessarily, but people used to beat each other with brickbats.
It creates that dynamic, that definitely was present in those times. That we will never experience, and so that's kind of the closest thing that we have to relate to. You spill on your shirt?
Definitely. No, I got blood orange on my So a bad day.
Pulp.
Anyways, so moving on. Next thing I want to talk about got me all fired up this morning. I tell you what, baby, I was focused today.
I tell you what, baby.
I was focused as a motherfucker today.
Okay.
I liked it. I did all my stuff. Anyways. And it got me, but what got me going, I shared it on my regular story. I didn't put it on the Latchkey story.
I didn't watch it.
You never do.
I didn't watch it. I've been busy today. I've been Barbieing all day.
Yeah, it's true. Barbieing is hard. So the Cult of Trauma is a video that I watched this morning. And I don't know who this fucking guy
explain.
is. So in the video, the guy
already upset.
brings up the Cult of Trauma. Well, it's not that upsetting. And he said in the video, this is probably going to piss some people off. And he says, and I don't care about this, that he's tired of it because I'm so tired of the Cult of Trauma. And the point of his video was everybody is turning just some real hardships every once in a while that are in life into like everything's a trauma response, right? Like, and it does feel like that. And the reason it feels like that is because I will express something that's like here is an actual trauma response. You're upset with me, and I start doing laundry. I know that's a trauma response.
Or sometimes I'm not even really upset with you. You just perceive that I'm upset with you.
You might be upset in general.
Yeah.
I start folding clothes and doing laundry and chores around the house. I know that's a trauma response because in my mind, in my subconscious, if I stop for a second and listen, it's saying, if you do enough chores, she'll love you.
Right.
Because when I had a positive interaction with my parents, it was because I was, if I did a shit ton of chores around the house, right?
So for me, if we're just using our relationship as we are,
And
mine
it's
is
anybody in general,
but mine is whenever you yell at the dogs, you yell so loud that it fills the room, and I can feel your anger filling me, and it's that same feeling as when my dad would get annoyed with me and my sister, or my mom when she was drunk, and it was just like his voice filled everything, and you
Mhm.
just felt so small. So even though you're yelling at the dogs, I'm having that response to when my dad used to yell like that, and it's just like shrink into yourself, kind of disappear, make no noise, and then maybe it'll be okay.
Right.
Type of shit.
And so that is like, I would say a legit those are legit trauma responses.
Sure.
But he used a word to mental health enthusiasts, which I like that, because there are a lot of mental health enthusiasts out there. My tongue is super. I haven't eaten anything today. I've only had liquids.
Oh.
I just
we gotta get you some food.
So my tongue's a little flat.
I will say though, I'm gonna just pop culture it and throw Jonah Hill in there, because that whole conversation he was using therapy talk and using it incorrectly.
Right. Well, he's using it to justify his own, like,
well, it wasn't
words like boundaries. I saw a video on that
that's
too.
That's not boundaries. You're
Right,
trying
you're
to control
setting
my
rules.
life.
You're setting rules.
Yeah, you're not setting boundaries. You're controlling my life.
Right.
But yeah, there are a lot of people that will use those kind of words and that lingo and that speech to make things fit the narrative, I guess.
Well, just
that they're trying to create
to make their point.
Like,
yeah.
Well, and also I think a lot of our generation is either one on the very far end of the spectrum with like, I can handle this myself, I'm fine, I'm okay, versus everything that happens at all, I am the victim. I have done nothing wrong. I will take no credit for all of these bad things that are happening to me. The world is against me. The universe is shitting on me constantly. None of this is my fault.
Right. It's like, okay, so maybe you're just procrastinating, right? Like maybe you're not shutting down and having a trauma response because you're overwhelmed. Maybe you're just not handling your shit.
Yeah.
Because like I will do that.
And that's something that we all do, and that's okay.
I didn't like Sunday. Was it Sunday? Yes, it was Sunday when I did all that laundry. I'm doing all of this laundry, and then in the middle of it, I just listened for 1 second to my subconscious. My subconscious goes, "You're doing all this laundry because you're avoiding going to get parts from Lowe's, because that means you'll have to do that. Makes work tomorrow on Monday real. So you're just doing as much laundry."
Yeah.
I did fucking 4 loads of laundry, right? And then vacuum. I did 4 loads of laundry, fucking vacuum, took trash out, like started doing chores. I fucking hate chores. I hate chores around the house with a passion. But I was like,
I'd rather do this, and I can justify not doing this if I do this other thing.
Yeah, I did all these things today, so if I just procrastinate and wait till tomorrow to go get these things. So I had to drop everything, put my shoes on, and just go to fucking Lowe's and buy the parts. But and what got me out of that was going, you're not getting paid to do laundry.
Right. Yeah.
And you will get paid to do those things.
Job, yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, I should do those things. But I do that all the time when I'm working on my little movie or whatever, right? Like that's just but we allow, I feel like anyways, from this video, his point was we allow life and things that happen in it to dictate how not, because you will feel, right? Like
for sure,
you're gonna have feelings, but it dictate to us what happens after it and how we justify. Like you're letting life run your own mental state, right?
Yeah.
You're like, this is happening to me. It's not happening to you. It's just happening.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I do that all the like.
It's all about how you react and how you handle these things.
But the problem with the cult of trauma, and I'm just going to keep using that. I don't really like that.
I don't
because
like
it
that
sounds
either.
Shitty.
It does.
The problem with this obsession with trauma, right, is that it's an easy scapegoat. Well, I didn't do that.
It takes accountability away.
Yeah, it takes account. Well, I'm, these things traumatize me. Or like I'm Well, it's like to me that is like when I was younger dating girls, and they would say, like an ex of mine said, well, I got she'd get on to me all the time for fucking like talking on like texting my clients back, or if I fucking looked at a chick on fucking Instagram and it popped up, whatever, right? Uh, but I was constantly like Floyd when I sneeze, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, I had somebody cheated on me, before, so this is why I have to deal with it." And I was like, "No, no, no, but you're not giving me
But also,
a
I
chance."
didn't cheat on
Yeah,
you.
it's what
so
I would always
don't-
say.
I don't deserve this.
Yeah, one day in the Walmart parking lot, I had enough. Like when if I approach you about something that I'm having an issue with, do I ever approach it angry? Like if I actually have to talk to you.
No, we have very adult
Right.
conversations.
I
We communicate well.
Well, this was a person that I could not have an adult conversation with because she would hog all the emotions. I'm crying now.
I hate that.
And now
One of my
I
exes
am
used to do
actually
that.
having a trauma response.
One of my exes used to do that.
Because
It's the
I don't
fucking worst.
I don't want to be here. Like I want to get out of this car and not like. Let me express to you how fucking weird. Like not with you because it's just different. It's not somebody that I don't get to express myself with. It's different when it's somebody that you either A, don't know, or B, doesn't allow you to express your own emotions.
Well, and that's honestly
So,
the worst part
it's like,
in those relationships, whether it's friend, boss, romantic relationship. And then you go and you honestly emotions and say what's up, and then they get sad and now you're the bully.
Well, what would happen is I would bring it up, something that's going on with me, and it's either reaffirming now, and instead of me saying here's and I try not to criticize. Like I really do try when I have something serious I need to bring up. I really do try to. Just know if I bring something up, I've been thinking about it way longer.
Well, same.
Well, like
I've had this
months.
conversation in my head 6 times at least.
Yeah. So when I would bring it up, I would get to like here, and it would either be reaffirming, as in like, oh, she wouldn't say this, but it would turn into me like it's okay, like. Listen, it's not as bad. It's not this. It is bad. This is what I didn't like that you did.
Yeah.
Right. But it would get to the point where I would get upset. So it's like, okay, I don't have like there's a switch, and we're just not even gonna open that door now. Never mind. And that's what it would end up. I would just like
Never
my dad.
mind. I'm actually mad now.
Yeah.
And I'm in no position to have this conversation with you because
Anymore.
I am genuinely upset.
Right, like it would end up being just like the same way that I would talk my dad down when he would just because that's what he did, just level up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna escalate. Yeah, and so I'm gonna go ahead and back out of this because you're just fucking shaking your head now and it's upset, and I'm gonna hit you in the face.
Oh, yeah,
And that was my dad. I'm gonna yell at you and it's gonna scare you, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do it
because you're clearly not being receptive to what I'm saying.
You know what, babe? I'm sorry I brought it up. No problem.
Shopify.
So anyways, we're sitting in the Walmart parking lot, and I don't even fucking remember what I'm getting. I don't know what the conversation was, but it's about cheating,
her past trauma,
her past shit, and I had enough, and she said, I was like, you always question me like I'm cheating. I'm like, or you always question me like I'm cheating on you. And I'm like, fucking might as well. And she was like, what? And she goes, you would cheat on me? And I was like, if you're going to constantly grill me like I'm cheating on you,
I
what
might
fucking
as well be getting extra pussy.
What fucking difference does it make?
Yeah.
And of course, it's not like I'm going to go cheat on you now. But it was like, that's what this is.
I'm getting all of the backlash without getting the piece on the side.
Right, exactly.
Like I'm doing nothing wrong, but I'm getting grilled as if I am.
Or when I was
in her defense, I wouldn't have taken that well either.
No, I knew she wasn't going to, but I didn't give a fuck. I know what I gotta say.
I also get where you're coming from too, and it is. So I just recently listened to a podcast. I want to say it was a Dateline. But anyways, it was this girl, and she starts dating this guy, and they're younger. I want to say they're 19, 20-ish. and she was from Mexico, and she like dumps all same thing, dumps all of this trauma. I've been cheated on before. My uncle or some shit was killed by the cartel right in front of me. Like I have a lot of trust issues. And she tells him that, and he's like, okay, we can work, we can work through that, whatever. And he like tells his mom, and his mom is like, well, maybe you just need to show her somebody who's trustworthy and, whatever. Like all, like how we normally all would approach that, right? Like, I'm a good person. I'm not going to give you a reason not to trust me. This should be fine. And then she goes fucking crazy because she finds out his best friend is a girl. And his best friend is dating one of his guy friends. That's how they
In
met
this
or
video,
whatever.
we're going
So
to learn a
she's
technique that
locked
allows you
up
to
with
edit.
this other guy. Like they're not, it's not, they've never been romantic. She has a whole other ass boyfriend. They go to lunch together, and everybody stands up from the table, and they both hug him. And I don't know if they hugged her or not. They didn't mention that, but they both hug him. And she clams up, the girl clams up the whole rest of the night, and they leave early because she wasn't feeling well. And then later, that guy comes to his best girlfriend and is like, listen, she has a problem with you. Like, she was really offended that you hugged me, blah, blah, blah. And then so they went to like lunch together, the guy and then that couple. And he's telling them about it. And then his girlfriend calls and is like, let me talk to her. And she's fucking going off on her like, you dumb slut. That's my man. I can't believe you touched my man. Da 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 da. And this girl's like, he is my friend. I've known him way longer than you. I greet everybody with a hug. This is not sexual in any way. Like, whatever. Well, that night, he had like already been planning on breaking up with her because he figured out, hey, this is fucking crazy. Like, this is not how a normal relationship should be. And he gets shot in like the chest stomach area in a really weird way that everybody's like, he would have had to held the gun upside down behind his back under like some fucking crazy shit.
Yeah, she fucking
And her
shot
story is that she was sitting at the foot of the bed and he's on the bed. And he's like, just cover your ears and I'll show you how much I love you. And then he shoots himself.
This is what it'll be like when you die
or whatever and junk. But yeah, basically. And like, I think she ended up getting away with it. Like they got her in a civil suit because in the civil suit, all of the jury was like, she is 100% responsible for his death, but they couldn't get her in a criminal suit. And it's just like fucking bonkers that's how far that shit can go. But that's like, y'all, and myself included, and you too, we are all responsible for handling those issues, communicating with our partners, going into new relationships and being like, this is what I struggle with. I'm doing my best to work on this. And moving forward, I realize you're not the person that did this shit to me. So I'm actively working on all of this.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna
like you can't drag people into your trauma and expect them to just bend to your whim. Like that's not okay.
Bend to you. That kind of rhymed. Is that an alliteration? What do they call that in grammar? Bend to your whim.
That's not anything. But I mean, you can't just. I don't know. Like you can't take your partner hostage with your trauma.
People to read your mind, right? Like
yeah. And you can communicate to an extent, but some things are too much to ask. You can't like if we started dating and you were like, I hate that some of your best friends are men. I'd be like, oh, sorry. I've known them way longer than you. Our relationships are way stronger than ours are. I've known them for years. I love them to death. Like, sorry. That's too much to ask to me. Like, if I asked you to never have female clients or never have female friends, that's way too much to ask, I think.
Right. Well, those are because you're speaking in absolutes.
That's fucking insane.
Like, your relationship should be reason. Not rules.
We all have boundaries.
Yeah, everybody has boundaries,
but not Jonah Hill boundaries.
Well, those are rules, right? Don't.
Yeah.
If it starts with don't, then if the next words out of your mouth are shoot me in the aren't shoot me in the face, then you're doing it wrong. Right? Like
question mark?
If it starts with if your boundary starts with don't and the next words aren't shoot me in the face.
Yeah, that's a fair boundary. Don't shoot me in the face. Don't cheat on me.
That's not a boundary. That's a rule.
Yeah.
Right? If you're saying don't have guy friends, then that is a rule, and that's not how relationships work.
Right.
Right? Don't cheat on me. That's a good rule.
Yeah,
that's not a boundary. That's a rule.
That's a across the board rule for a monogamous relationship.
Right.
So,
right. But like what a boundary would be. Here's an excellent boundary. Don't. I already did it wrong, right? I don't.
You making the rules and you're already breaking them.
Well, I'm a rule breaker.
Oh. You're cheating on me.
Yeah.
Pushy.
Being spoken to a certain way.
That's
right?
fair. Yeah.
Like if I don't appreciate, and you shouldn't say don't, because because don't takes away that person's personality. If you told me don't yell, that's not going to work for me.
Well,
because now I can't.
That is where therapy speak is helpful, because you say, I feel.
Yeah.
When you do this, I feel this.
Right.
When you scream at the dogs, I know you're not yelling at me, but I feel small and it makes me uncomfortable. Like I'm not telling you don't do it, but just know this is how it makes me feel.
Right. So a good example would be the other day. I say the other day, it's been weeks ago now. But you got back
It's
back
been
home.
3 years.
You went on girls' night and you got back home at like 5:30 in the morning, and I was leaving.
Yes.
And then I got home and you were still up, right? Which was fine. But I didn't say don't do that, right? You understood, because you're an adult, that hey, that's
I was worried
scary.
about you. Yeah.
Because last time I didn't hear from you. I got a phone call at 2, and you consider it's you set boundaries in order to open the door for the other person to be considerate.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't have to say anything to you. Now I'll be honest with you. In my mind, I'm saying all sorts of stuff. Right. Not shitty things, but just like, how am I going to approach her? How am I going to approach her? But then I know I'm not going to approach her on this, because what I'm going to approach is going to sound like rules, and that's not what I want, right? I want to express myself. I don't want to set rules for her.
And neither of us do well with rules. Both of us are like, don't tell me to do something, and I'm going to do it twice and take pictures.
Right.
That's both of our personalities.
The gist of our entire conversation about that was you went back out. I don't know if it was the next night or maybe a couple of days. I don't remember how long after it was. But I was like, maybe we don't do 5:30 in the morning again, and you're like, yes, and that's fine, and that's how it should be,
right?
Because if you didn't understand, that would have also told. Now this is going to be. It's not a game, I don't think, but it is.
We're just airing our laundry on the podcast.
No, it is a trait that I have noticed about myself. Is I will assess it. So I say in my mind, you don't need to approach her. She loves you. She understands that was stepping on a boundary. She's a grown up. She would understand that that's stepping on a boundary, so just leave it, right? Don't worry about it, because you're also not at any point to approach her about this, right? Like, I wasn't mad, but just every idea I had of like bringing it up would have sounded like I was trying to tell you what to do, and I didn't want that.
Right.
So I just didn't do it, and then I waited, and then we just had a laugh about it, and it's fine. But what would have told me if you were actually being considerate is if I would have said, hey, let's not do 5:30 in the morning again, and then you get defensive, because that means when you got back at 5:30 and I was leaving and had been worried all night, you didn't even give a fuck, right? Because you didn't even realize that might have been stepping on a boundary, that might have scared me, because I don't know if you recall. You definitely recall the time that I got a great phone call at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's a trauma response. When I wake up sweaty and anxious at 3:30 in the morning and you're not there, that's a response, because now I'm like, I gotta go save her. So
I gotta say, I don't love talking about this on the podcast.
No, I'm like, but it's nothing that's. it's not. It's helpful because we have a healthy relationship.
Well, but yeah, we're both good
we
at
should
communicating
share.
with each other.
It's not dirty laundry.
I
Right?
know.
Like because if it was me, it'd be the same way. I would have come. I'd have been like, I fucked up. You know. Now my difference is you'd have come. The difference is I'd have been like cleaning the house for 3 days because I.
Well, the difference is I was just at a girlfriend's
Right.
house,
Which is
2
why-
blocks up the street,
Exactly.
and
I don't think
past Riley would have been at a titty bar.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, like we have a good, and I mean that we started it that way was immediately
This is what I
open
want.
communication is the most important thing in any relationship, I think.
And open communication and being like this sounds so rudimentary, but being considerate.
Yeah.
Like that's you hear these people, right? Your friends or whoever it is talk about their relationships and how this other person, and I don't even want to say is treating them shitty, but is like doing it, maybe not even doing a shitty thing, but doing a shitty thing
that their partner doesn't
from that
appreciate.
Their partner's perception is shitty, right? And it's always this. It's either A, I've never brought it up. Hey, I don't like when you call me stupid. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Even if you're joking, I don't like it. Or, hey, I would really appreciate it if you would if you would replace the toilet paper in the bathroom because,
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't like to have to waddle to the cabinet.
Those are
yeah.
silly, but
Simple.
It's the effort, right? Then you want to make the effort. I lived with 2 women during my early teens, so I understand what consideration is. I'm not always the most considerate, but I try to make the effort to be more considerate. And I also do other stuff, right? Like, I cleaned up your art room for you, just because. Those are not only like acts of service, but that's me being considerate to your
needs wants,
and consideration, right? Thinking ahead. I'm taking you into consideration. And I think that's a huge part that people don't do. Like, I don't talk to you like I talk to my sister. I don't talk to you like I talk to my friends, right? I don't treat you like I treat other people, and I shouldn't, right? Because I'm mean to
you're
other
not
people.
because you're not fucking them.
Yeah, but even in like, I'm never going to make an excuse not to come to your aid.
Right.
Unless I physically cannot do it.
Right.
Right? But I don't have any problem making excuses to not go anywhere else. Right? I don't care who's asking. If you're not dying or you don't need a ride,
you can figure it out.
You can figure it the fuck out. We're in our 30s now. You don't need me. All right? Unless you're trying to get a loan. And in which case, you're not fucking calling me.
My
anyways.
credit's not that great. Sorry.
Exactly. But people will do stuff like, I feel so often couples our age do stuff to each other, like, let's say you're the last. I saw this on TikTok today. It's perfect. Let's say you're the last to bed, right? And this lady was being comical, but you're last to bed, but you don't turn the bedroom light off.
Okay, yeah, that's dumb.
Right? But then you ask me to turn the bedroom light off.
No.
Right? But let's just say that happens, right? I don't want to get up, right? Or sometime
you were already up, and then you consciously got in bed with the light on.
Exactly.
Get your fucking ass back up and do it.
That is being inconsiderate.
Yeah.
Right? That's being inconsiderate from somebody, and what you're doing.
And also,
there,
that's something you would need to do if you lived alone. I'm sorry, if I wasn't here.
Yeah.
And you got in bed and the light was still on, you would have to walk your bitch ass back up and go flip that switch on your own.
Yeah, it's being inconsiderate, to the person's comfortability and relaxation, but a lot of the times, it's also you're being cute, and it's breeding resentment. Like, please, like, can you turn the light off for me? And it's like,
yeah.
That breeds resentment.
You were just up.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Exactly. And so that...
It's one thing, like, if I walk into the kitchen and you're like, hey, will you grab me a napkin or will you grab me whatever out of the fridge? It's like, yeah, I'm already up. I'm already in here. Sure. Like, but you come in and you get in bed and you leave the light on?
Right.
That's dumb as hell.
Well, so, and, Well, it's like me. I be forgetting, but I'm a forgetful person.
Right.
Uh, like sometimes I leave hair in the bathtub.
You do.
Well, I had, in my defense, I didn't. I thought you had already showered, and I was just going to do that after it all got onto the
still
little
should have
thingy.
wanted to go back and get that shit.
Well, I was going to after it all got on the little drain thingy, but I didn't want to like.
Well, it was
I
all
didn't wanna
over
touch it.
outside of the drain thingy.
I know,
So
I
I
had to
came
spray it
into
all
a
back on there.
spider,
It
a
was
hair
fucking
spider
gross.
monster. It was fucking gross.
It was Mordred.
Yeah. And speaking of the
Mordred
bathroom,
be hungry.
I would like to go there now.
You gonna take a pissy?
I need
Well,
to
I
take
think
a
we.
pish.
Okay. Well, actually, I think
Oh, are
that's
we
a good
wrapping
place
up?
to. Yeah, we're about an
Okay.
hour in, so we might as well go ahead and wrap up, guys. We appreciate y'all tuning in again to the Latchkey Kids podcast. I, of course, am your host. I do it this at the top,
At
so
the
I do it
very
at the
end.
bottom. I'm your host, Riley. That was my girlfriend, Marinda.
Hey.
Guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Go like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. We're podcasting everywhere out here. We got it on video. We got it on
Kids, Hatch a
YouTube.
wife,
We
maybe.
are writer, director, producers, music, band.
We don't do the music.
We do the
We don't do the
band.
band.
We do the voices.
We do that.
We're famous.
We're not.
Going to be famous. Anyways, go check us out. Instagram, Latchkey Kids Podcast. Facebook, Latchkey Kids Podcast. Twitter, The Real Latchkey Pod. And our Gmail, the Latchkey Podcast at gmail.com. Discord, Latchkey Kids Podcast. And our channel, Latchkey Kids. Well, actually, scratch that. I don't know the channel yet.
Okay.
We'll make the announcement on social media because we have a channel, but it's named something different because I was testing stuff out on it. So I don't want to give our channel name because I don't
Okay.
know if it's available yet.
Okay.
So, anyways, but we will have a channel up. Guys, go check it out. Also, we're gonna put a poll up on our social media tomorrow. I want to vote. We're gonna release the video version later this time, simply because this is our first run. So I
Probably
got to
needs some
figure all that
cleaning
out.
up.
Yeah, I got to figure. Well, yeah, and I got to figure out how to use all the software. Anyways, I got to see if I can cut it up. Anyways, what I'm curious about though is if you guys would like an audio version on Wednesday and a video on the weekend, or if you guys would rather have audio video same day. Doesn't make a shit to me. Just more work for me to produce the podcast. So yeah, but anyways, we'll put the poll up. You guys go vote and let us know what you think. Like I said, like, subscribe, review, share it, share all our reels. Go like that shit.